James Harden was also in attendance at the press conference, and all sides appear committed to make it work. So, Dave, what's your reaction to what you saw from the Rockets today?
You know, I think this is going to work. I mean, the league is wide open. Both these two players, they wanted it to happen. You know, they needed to work in concert to make sure that both sides signed off on this deal. I spoke to a Rockets source today, and I'm like, so tell me how this can fit. And the vision he sold to me was that Russ is going to play with more shooters than he ever had played with before. They're going to have Capella in the dunker spot. And so rather than Capella was playing a lot in the post in the last couple seasons, and he feels like either side, you can have Harden attacking on one wing, Russ on the other, throwing lobs to Capella, or spraying passes out to the perimeter. And again, if both sides believe it can happen and want it to happen, I think it's going to be a successful year one. As they age, I don't know. But while the league's wide open next year, and they both want it to happen, I think they have a legit shot at making a deep run in the playoffs.
I agree with Dave. I think they do believe, and I think they are going to be super committed to making it work because they are friends. I was texting with one Hall of Famer and asked him, "What do you think about this pairing? Can it work?" And he said they're going to be super passive early on because they're going to try so hard to make it work. And so you may see that perhaps a slow start. I think it's going to work well in the regular season. I just wonder come postseason time, that's when defenses start to focus in on guys. That's when maybe their flaws are going to come out. Maybe that's when they get too isocentric. Obviously, I believe James Harden has to have the ball at end of games. And I think Russ is going to do everything he can to make it work. Is he going to be happy with that? I don't know, not having the ball as much in his hands. But I do think they're going to try as hard. And I think it's going to look good in the regular season, just not quite sure in the postseason.
I like your discussion about Capella because clearly he was played off the floor in the postseason. So to be able to utilize him and maximize his potential makes a lot of sense. I didn't text anyone, but I did have Stan Van Gundy and Byron Scott on the radio show recently. And I asked them about this particular pairing. And I asked them, like, what do you make of Russ maybe handling the ball a little more since James is just a better shooter, clearly, and having the floor space for Russell Westbrook? Both guys basically said to me, in theory, that works great. It's about whether James allows that to happen because James is clearly the better player at this stage. And if he allows that to happen, then then they could potentially flourish in that situation.
I think a lot of times we forget, though, like, during the whole process of when Russell was on the market and being traded or whatever, everybody was just like, oh, his contract is awful. I get it. But we forget the dude just won MVP like 2 years ago.
Right.
These are guys that just won MVP back-to-back seasons, and now they're paired together. I think people are forgetting just how good these two can be.
No, I don't think anyone's forgetting how good they are. I think what people are seeing, and it could be just an outlier situation for Westbrook where the numbers are declining, right? The field goal percentage, the three-point percentage, even the free throw percentage, that's the one.
He might not have been healthy last year.
Agreed,
right?
But that's what I'm saying. That's why it could be an outlier situation because of health or whatever. And look, Rachel's talked about it here, particularly with the free throw stuff, because that's something that I think people are like, whoa, wait a second. For a guy that gets to the line that much, to be shooting 60-something%, that isn't ideal. But he's such a creature of habit. This was Rachel's comments one day with me here on the show, was that, they kind of – he was forced to shorten his routine at the free throw line because they have this new rule where you can only walk a certain amount of space away from the free throw line, and that may have kind of thrown him off a little bit. Those are things that are easily correctable. So I'm still in on them as a top 4 seed potentially. I'm in on them potentially with a deep playoff run. I just am curious to see how the mix comes in the postseason, as you pointed out, Ohm. Dave, do you think that could be a potential problem?
I see what you're saying, certainly because if his shots aren't falling, he can become a manageable player for the defensive team to deal with. You can sag off of him, you can clog the lane, and then that not only affects his game, it's going to affect James's game on the other wing. So, and then James takes more step back threes, and obviously we can see if his legs are gone come the postseason. That's been the case the last couple of years. I can see the problem area you're pointing out to. I can also say that if they can find a way to say, hey, James, in the half court, it's your turn to take over. But if we can get a deflection, we can get a steal, we can get a long defensive rebound, get it to Russ, and Russ in the open court is still a major problem. He's able to create contact. Again, if he gets to the free throw line, he's got to be able to finish. But that's something that needs to be, it will put pressure on defenses.
Mike D'Antoni is the guy who can make this work. The thing is, though,
he better because he's a late on contract.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my follow-up questions. Is how important is this for him? This season he's 69 years old, right? Like people don't realize that.
Yeah, I think he'll make it. He'll find a way to make it work. I just think it's like Russ who probably has to do the most adapting, because remember, he was on the team that was totally tailored for him. And I'm not just talking about just like the pieces of where they were and things, more like these guys were boxing out for him so he could get the rebounds. He could get all of his stats. That's not going to really happen anymore.
Right.
You got two guys now that are capable of putting up triple doubles, but really, Russ is going to be the guy. Is he going to be happy not putting up all those triple doubles and everything? I think he'll be fine. Again, I just wonder how it's all going to flow come playoff time.
Can any of these guys win the MVP playing together?
No, I don't see. James Harden will still be the focal point of that offense, and his offensive package is just ridiculous. Yeah. And he's coming up with a new move that apparently is going to look like a travel. It's not going to be a travel.
Not a travel, though.
Not a travel.
Make sure you
may look like one.
Point that out.
He's working on a new move too, right?
Yeah, right. So I don't want to count Harden out of the conversation because he has been that good the last several years. And quite frankly, I saw Russell Westbrook play a game against the Lakers last year, go into the game planning to get 20, 20, and 20, and did it.
Right.
And so let's not give him, we got to give him some sort of props, but most likely they cancel each other out. I would look elsewhere if I was going to make a prediction on the MVP.